Welcome in, mein Herren. 'Tis Monday, 25th of March, 2K24, and that makes it day 85 of This Much Is True, the podcast currently taking the online world by cam. But a loyal little band of listeners we have all the same, and they appear to be growing as well, which is good news. Anyway, this project has probably 6 or 7 days left in it. We shall see what we shall see. Tried to do a video for you last night, but I couldn't. Guess what I did? I'd been in here earlier in the morning doing a bit of recording, and I'd left the heater on. Now, my wife would have went bananas if she found out, because heating bills and all that. Although I have to say, the system in here is very economical. But I went out and I began to do some gardening. Now, this is something coming to me rather late in life, and I really enjoy just the green finger thing, connecting with the earth, with leaves, palm leaves, ivy as it was out the back of the studio, cutting it all back, and the moss between the cracks in the flagstones at the front here. I love it. It's something about being out in the air as well. It's just beautiful. But I got back here to do your video later on, our video, and it was so hot and clammy in here. I was sweating like a pig before the fair. Yeah, I was. Actually, I got a few of these for you. I was sweating like a German trying to tell a joke. I was sweating like a fat one-legged hooker working both sides of the street. I was sweating like Helen Keller playing hide and seek. I think you get the picture. It was very, very hot. There's a lot of other ones here which are really a bit dubious. I won't say them just in case they offend anybody these days. But no, I won't. I'm refraining from. Okay, this is the most risque I will get. Close your ears if you're of a sensitive disposition, and please don't be offended. And if you are, take your offence elsewhere, because I'm too old for it. I'm sweating like a group of nuns at a cucumber farm. Okay, enough of that. That reminds me of a joke, by the way. Years ago in a convent, there was a load of nuns, and they were shouting and fighting, and the head nun shouted at them, "Any more of that shouting and screaming, and I'll put the saddle back on that bicycle." Oh, that's a really rude one. Sorry to her. Does remind me of another thing. There wasn't a joke. Years ago, as a sales guy, I used to send out these invitations to exhibitions that I do. And I distinctly remember getting a reply back saying, "Dear Mark," it was from a convent, "thank you for your invitation to your forthcoming exhibition. Unfortunately, as a closed order of nuns, we cannot attend your exhibition." Oh, well. Oh, how we laughed. We won't be laughing in a minute because we're going to be flying with the RAF. And I want to dedicate this to Ray of Ray's Rants. I don't know if you are listening to me, Ray. He listens in and out. But I fell in love with Ray's Rants last year. And Ray is somewhat more senior in years than me. Not much. He's we won't tell him your age. We won't tell him, Ray. But you're 74. You're 74 next month, yeah? Or in May. See, I remember these things. And Ray is very of the old stiff upper lip, stoic, lovable Brit. The best of British, as they would say. And if you tune into his podcast, and I'll put a link here underneath, you will enjoy it, because it's like going right back to the 50s, 60s and 70s. He's a brilliant presenter. He doesn't know it himself. I've said it. He's pure Radio 4 material. He's got this beautiful voice that just... It doesn't deviate. There's no ums and ahs or anything. It just goes along and gets along in a beautiful manner of delivery, I have to say. Ray, I can't praise it enough. And he's into the human end of things. Doesn't get emotional, doesn't use bad language like I tend to do or tell risque jokes. He's too polite for that. And he doesn't get into politics either. And you know what? For years and years, and I still won't, neither did I. But I think, my friends, in light of certainly what's happening in Ireland, it's very difficult not to take a position. It's very, very difficult to be that ostrich in the sand. Morally, it's very difficult, and every piece of my fibre is fighting just to stay out of it, because I don't know where it's going to end. There's a lot of, worldwide it's bad enough, but it's microcosmic here. There's a lot going on. It's like a petri dish of some kind, but I won't get in there. I'm talking about Ray. We will put a link to him in the description. Now, why it is relevant is, ladies and gentlemen, if you bear with this next bit of historic audio for approximately 2 minutes thereabouts, you will get a glance into that wonderful British stiff upper lip. What you're going to listen to is authentic audio. It's cockpit chatter, if you like, from an Avro Lancaster. And again, Ray, why I'm dedicating it is not just because of your manner. It's because Ray repairs radios, or used to, and TVs as well. And oftentimes would be given these old Lancaster radio sets. And in fact, up until recently, he was telling me he had one or two still in his studio. But from the very moment, this is a theatre of the mind, or a feast for the ears. If you listen to this, I mean, listen closely, listen forensically. The breathing, you will hear them through the kind of mouthpiece. You will hear that. Now, I'm not sure if these guys actually survived in the end, because the rate of bomber crews that eventually were shot down was incredible. I mean, I think it's either 40,000 or 80,000 bomber crews, I think, were shot out of the skies. It was big amount. We, in my own family, we had a guy in the Canadian Royal Air Force. He died a few years ago, into his 90s. Lovely man. I remember talking to him all about the raids as a kid, the raids he was involved on. And he told me the Nuremberg raid was a big one he was in. But these guys didn't want to talk about that. And you'll understand as you listen, as you get a listen into this cockpit chatter, as I said. I'm going to let it speak for itself, and then we'll come back to it. And then we'll have a word with you as well, Nigel, who was in touch, okay, about the Strange, People Are Strange program we did recently. A little show, wasn't it? Anyway, listen to this. It's, as I described, from a time when the lights had gone out all over Europe, apart from searchlights, which you'll hear all about.
Hey, bomb's gone. Okay.
Was that bomb's gone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bomb downstairs.
Well, I can read my watch in the searchlight. That's 21:54.
Flag coming awful close.
Heading 100.
21:54. Go to the slot as best we can.
Okay. Speed's the answer now.
The idea is to steer about 020.
Put 020 on, huh? 020, okay.
Flight directly beneath us.
Right.
And searchlights underneath us too.
Come on, keep it, Tommy, get trained.
Watch your height.
I'm watching everything.
Okay.
How many searchlights would you call them?
Too many, I reckon.
Couple of thousand. They're searching for us. You bastards. Oh, hell. Certainly illuminates things, doesn't it? Sure does. Still the pint. Keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah.
They're firing at us now.
Are they?
Yeah. Okay. Flag closed.
Well, it's coming close. I can feel it.
Yes, I can see it. Round to
forward a bit, heading, skipper.
Okay. If we press on a bit this way, we might get out.
Yeah.
My God.
You light your fag on any of those.
Oh. That was a bit close.
I
think we've been hit personally.
Yeah, lose a bit of height, skipper.
Yeah.
That was close.
Yes.
Searchlight looking for us now. Okay, I'm pressing on, more or less on course.
Righty-ho.
It's gone out now. Oh, we better press on north until we're clear of this issue. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Hello, skipper.
Hello?
We've been holding the ground.
Well, let us hope that crew survived and were reunited with their family. I want to pay tribute to them. Of course, what they were doing, you can look at it from any end, but still they were fighting a war. They were fighting to defend freedom and their country. But they were remarkable, weren't they? It's the calm, methodical, business-like, workman-like approach they have to the horrific job they are doing. But not only that, the appalling and horrific situation they are in. They are essentially sitting ducks up there, 25, 30,000 feet, whatever, with a ferocious enemy, it has to be said. Luftwaffe were it wasn't going to be a play date with those guys. And as you could hear as well, I mean, the searchlights were up. One of them, what do you think of them searchlights? And we're being shot at. Oh, are we? Yep. It's just remarkable, the icy, steely nerves of these gentlemen. And they were gentlemen. That's it. You're not seeing these guys running around, clad in the latest Nike or whatever, or screw you up, fuck you up, bitch, or whatever it is, the latest slang is. These are real men. These are real men. And you can hear that. And they might as well be swatting away a fly. Their approach to ack or flak being fired at them. In fact, the good news is, I think it ends, we've been hit in the front, skipper, or something like that. Apparently it's not as bad as it sounds. There's some oil leakage, all right, but they're keeping an eye on it. I hope they made it home. I hope they made it through their 25 missions or so. I think that's what it was for the American Air Force anyway. They were serious times. I mean, the British would fly at night. The Americans would fly during the day. Incredible. And it's incredibly hard not to be moved when you listen to it as well. Anyway. Right, let's get back to happier things. We were talking about, disturbing things. We were talking about, superstitions, etc. And people are strange, just the kind of weird things that happened. My own sister Tara was in touch with that footage about the lady who was dropping the jelly beans into her porch at 5:20 a.m. in the morning and then disappearing, jauntily slinging her bag as if nothing had happened. Nigel's a Brummie who moved to Ireland some years back, and one of his many talents is being a sheep farmer. We have a laugh at that every so often, don't we, Nigel? But he's a muso like me. He's into his music and regularly updates me on insights. In fact, we should get you on here, Nigel. How about a chat? I can pre-record it if you want. So, in relation to those superstitions and what have you, he says to me, great stories, Mark, but my old man was raised by his gran and they were both mad superstitious. Touching things, salt over shoulder, not playing cards on Sunday, saying things at certain times. Please God was one of planning future events. Well, we say that in Ireland a lot, Nigel, please God, please God. And you often feel a bit parochial saying it, but you just say it. And it's not a bad thing either. And I've an adjunct to it. Thank God and his blessed mother. That's one I like to say. Not doing things because it was bad luck. I had begun to recognise in various people and sportsmen were the worst. Goalkeepers would always walk between the posts and kick them so many times before a match or a penalty. Bouncing the ball 3 times before kicking it, also done by tennis players, etc. Clay pigeon shooters rubbing the gun same way each time before shouting, "Pull!" for a clay pigeon to be released. Now, he did go on to relate something else which was quite interesting, but he won't allow me say it because he's afraid he's going to be recognised. What are you thinking about, Nigel? There must be a coterie of between 5 and 10 of us regulars here. Hardly is anyone going to recognise the brilliant story you told me all about the... No, I won't say it. As I was reading that, I began to think of some celebrity superstition stories, which I'll just link for you now, that I was aware of. There was always, for many years, there was a big concert here, and I can't think of the name of it. It was up in a castle in County Meath. I know I should be shot as an Irishman for not remembering this. Can't remember the name of where it was. But the Rolling Stones, Slane Castle, there you go, Slane Castle. The Rolling Stones would have played at it, and probably, certainly David Bowie, and well, Queen for sure. Queen and Rolling Stones were the big ones I remembered from the Slane Castle era. And the proprietor, if you like, the owner of the castle, was a good old, what would we call him? Well, he was of the peerage, I suppose. Lord Henry Mount Charles. That's the guy. I think he's still with us. And I saw him on a late show one night, and he said, "I always wear 2 odd socks. It's good. It has been a good luck charm for me, and I continue to do it." And he showed, as he was on stage, his socks off to the audience. And then a few years later, I was at the Olympia Theatre in Dublin. And I looked up, and you know one of these box stall things or whatever these that like royalty tend to have? He was sitting in one of those, and from the angle I was at, I could glance down into the box, because I was probably up on the frickin' cheap seats, up in the gods. And sure enough, he had the 2 odd socks on. Now, I don't want to lower the tone, not of the socks, but of the show, but I'm going to mention Gary Glitter. Him, notorious Gary Glitter, real name Paul Francis Gadd. I do recall from a book of his, which I did find quite interesting, I have to say, a book he released probably in the early 90s, which was pre all the scandal. One of his early venues was some kind of a theatre or something like that, and he was only totally wet behind the ears as he was starting out his career, which subsequently became notorious. Actually, known to me is a guy from the Glitter Band. I might have mentioned him before. We might see if he'll come on here and talk to us. John Springate, lovely man. Lovely man. Glitter Band, totally separate, by the way, from Gary Glitter. Not to be confused with the same kind of shenanigans. But back to Gary. And he said he was in a theatre one night, very young. And he was doing his singing or whatever he was going to do. This is all pre-Glitter days. He had a few incarnations before Gary Glitter. And there was a well-known actor going out to do his bit, and in a bid to ingratiate himself with this actor, Gary Glitter said to him, "Go on, mate, break a leg." And if he did, the guy turned around, looked at him, like with laser beam eyes, and said, You bastard! You odious bastard! Don't you ever say that to me again! It's pure bad luck! So that was Gary put in his place before a set of handcuffs did the same thing many years later. But to be fair to Gary, the term, and I did research it, apparently comes from break a leg means if you do well, it's like an audition thing. If you break a leg, if you do well, you'll end up in the cast. That's where apparently it emanates from. Whether you believe that or not, I don't know. But it does kind of make sense. Break a leg, you'll be in the cast. So, and the other celebrity I can think of is a much more joyful individual, the late Bruce Forsyth. I have to be careful how I say that, being Irish. Bruce Forsyth. Anyway, let's call him Brucie. Good game. All right, my love. Good game. Well, he was, as well as being a fantastic all-round entertainer, he was a bit of a ladies' man as well. I think he was married 3 times, and like each wife was subsequently near more beautiful than the first wife. Anyway, they were all beautiful. And in his early 50s, he hit the jackpot because I think she was a lot younger than him. But he ended up meeting and subsequently marrying a former Miss World. And he was judging the Miss World, I think it was, in Puerto Rico in 1980. And he was on the judging panel, and so was this beauty who he would marry. And she had been the winner of Miss World, I think 5 or 6 years previous. She was only in her mid or late 20s. Anyway, Brucie got in on the action very quickly, and they were married. And a very successful marriage it was as well, because it lasted from the marriage right up until his demise at the age of 89. Good innings, my friend. And when the wedding ceremony, this is the good bit, like this is funny. When the wedding ceremony was taking place, Bruce related, I think it was on an old Desert Island Discs episode, how the family, his in-laws, his new in-laws to be, and their friends and everybody, all the Puerto Ricans, they were all crying their eyes out. And Brucie kind of went, this is supposed to be a wedding, not a funeral, you know. But why they were crying is they did recognise there was a significant age difference. And they were crying for their daughter because they thought, it doesn't matter if this guy is as rich as Methuselah. It doesn't matter how well known he is. He's an old man, and it's not good for our daughter to be marrying this old fella. Now, look, 10, 15, 20 years these days, I'm not sure it matters anymore. If you're in love, you're in love. But I suppose I could understand. And he did, despite all his reassurances, they were very suspicious for quite a while, until it all was obvious that it was working out. And it was a good marriage, a sound marriage. But one of the secrets to Brucie's longevity wasn't just beautiful women. It was his mother-in-law gave him a book just after the wedding ceremony, and she said, look, will you read this anyway? Because I think they were afraid of him dying, not that he might have been just a disreputable showbiz character. Sorry, business is calling here. But she gave him a book. Now I think it was the Tibetan something or other, not the Book of Life or Death. It's not that one. It was something about longevity. And I have to admit I'm guilty of this, because I first read it here that you salute a magpie or a jackdaw and say, good morning, General, or good afternoon, General. It's something I always do when I'm out on my walks. And my wife, God love her, she just goes, yeah, right, yeah, good morning, General. She just does it to please me. It really kind of, she's not into it at all. And just to digress, we were on holidays once, about to take a flight. We're off in Tenerife or somewhere like that. And my wife, we were walking along, and there was a guy with a ladder out. And of course, you don't walk under a ladder. Of course, Frances is like from West Belfast. She's used to bullets flying through her window when she was a kid. I'm walking under that ladder, Sam. I said, don't, we're about to go off on a flight. Don't push it. And I remember getting really anal about it. And of course, she walked under it. And of course, we got home safely. And anyway, back to Brucie. The book was given to him. And among the many things, like what I just described with magpies, etc., you turn around 3 or 4 times every day and you tap dance and you do something else. And anyway, to please his mother-in-law, he took up a lot of these routines, and he attributed a lot of his longevity to this Tibetan book of long life or whatever it was. Now, this program's gone on way too long. I'm sorry if it hasn't made sense to a lot of people, but we've gone from Gary Glitter you know, well, let's go as far away from him as possible. We've gone from Bruce Forsyth to the RAF to Ray down in the lovely... Where's that place you're from, Ray? That's annoying me now. Oh, stop. There's always something, isn't there? Worthing, of course. The Worthing original, I call him. So hello to you all out there. Susan, I am going to be coming back to what you emailed me about shortly, and this was old TV programmes. I know we've touched upon them before, but since I've seen your mail, I've remembered a few more I think we can reminisce on, and also the cars as well. Thanks so much for listening out there. I say for listening out there, Yorkshire lass, I say for listening. I see Fred Elliott is dead, the character out of Coronation Street. He's died a while ago now. But he used to repeat everything twice. I say, repeat. I say, repeat everything twice. Do you want to know why that was? Because from the Lancashire mills back in the late 1800s, early part of the century, you had these massive big sewing machine type things, didn't you? I can't remember the exact name for them, but you know, they would sew linen and carpet and all kinds of fabric. And to be heard, there was no like health and safety back then. There was no like, you know, headphones or whatever. Back then, you'd be shouting to your colleague across the desk, I say it's nearly time for lunch. What? I say it's nearly time for lunch. I say it's nearly time for me to fuck off now, guys. Sorry, Ray, I used bad language. Anyone want to belt on my ding-a-ling? You would do me such a favour if you did by emailing me. I'll tell you the email in a minute. Obviously, if you want to go comments below, that's fine. But I would like you to get used to the email, which is thismuchistrue@protonmail.com. Because then you got a ring on my bell. Which reminds me, like and subscribe as well. Because if you subscribe, then you'll be notified as to when the next flotsam and jetsam emanating from my mind ramble will come along. Yeah. Take care, because I care. Bye.